I was just asking the audio department why I needed this, if there was already this. And she said, this is provided if I want to wander. So they must know me. Thank you. ArtPride, thank you for having me. I'm happy to be, well, just anywhere at this point in my journey. Keynote speaker. What can I say? Do I talk about myself? Do I talk about the arts? I start here. I was asked to speak. I don't think I'm going to wander. I'm going to take this off. But it's okay. I'll just let it hang. I was asked to speak at the, it was my, I was given an honorary doctorate at Montclair State University. I was asked to speak. And I asked a very, intelligent person, a friend of mine, I trust him, asked him to write a speech for me. And he said, no, you write it. And I said, oh, okay, so I didn't write it. I just went up there and said what I'm going to say right now. But in this same instance, when I was asked to be here as speaker, someone began to write something for me. And I looked at it and I said, it's fabulous. And I put it over there, I didn't look at it. And I guess the point is, I'm an improvisationalist. But I like to be safe. I like to be in the safe zone. The arts, and through my improvisational approach, has allowed me to maintain my safety zone, my safe zone. Why me? Why me to have a mother like I have? Why me to have had a father like I had? Why me to have had a grandmother who was minister of music? Why me to be the great-grandchild of Dick Lundy from the Newark Eagles? Why me to be a friend or best friend to a great man named Devon Sanders? Why me? Why me? Chosen to be here after a very long night last night. Why me? It is because I believe I've cracked the code. And I'm highly judgmental and probably obnoxious about art or about what I believe in at this point in my journey. That's my disclaimer. Cracked the code. And then I believe that there are others who have also cracked the code. The language, the unspoken or the unheard or the invisible sound, the magic of light, the magic of darkness, cracking the code. This is all art related. Being able to see sound, being able to see sound, being able to hear a posture, being able to recognize a gesture, recognize being it was heard or seen. Cracking the code. Some can't see it. Some can't be it. Some of us have cracked the code. We find in this safe zone called the arts, for those of us who've cracked the code, we find that this is our safe zone. We find that on, again, the other side, because there's two sides to, I guess, the truth or the reality. On one side, which is the receiving audience, those who are again me, those who are the why me, they've cracked the code, being able to receive those who are it have cracked the code, being able to deliver. There are some who are not me. There are some who are not you. Those are artists. The artists, I think, deal with the history, whereas those who have cracked the code deal with the mystery. I think because my mother not only signed me up for tap dance classes at 7 years old, but she involved me in, I went to Queen of Angels School in Newark. I also went to Newark Community School of the Arts. And my dancing career or journey started in New York. But why? How? My mother signed me up for a thing you recognize as tap dancing, right? Just like someone would sign their child up to play ukulele or something, I don't know. Through that tool, through that instrument, through that expression, some of us crack the code. Some of us allow you to see sound. Some of us allow you to read a posture. Some of us allow you to understand things that you can't hear. It's not the word, it's the tone. And when you start to use the tone and you understand what the tone does to the soul, then you have cracked the code. So, I use codes, and it is because I was born, my mother before my mother, my father before my father. Wherever and however it has gotten or landed on me, I am so happy that it has. I didn't know this when I first started tap dancing. I thought I was just tap dancing. It's not until this now that I realize, or I have a better and clearer understanding of why me. We'll take questions starting on the left. No, no applause, no applause, no, please, 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 no, 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 no. I like the vibe. I like the vibe that was just sort of serene and no. I'll take all the applause I can. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, please come on.
Corey has a microphone, and do we have another one?
Anne-Marie has it.
Anne-Marie's up in the corner. If you have a question for Savion, please, this is, we talk about this all the time. The only way ArtPride works is we all do it together.
That's right.
Raise your hand. And raise your hand.
No, don't force them.
Anne-Marie's got you, Andy. To your right.
Savion, we know that you've worked with children in Newark. What do you think about the dance that they get in schools in New Jersey?
Are you just saying the dance that they get?
That's right, just the dance.
Well, word on the streets, which I'm not happy to be a third mouth of, but word on the streets is we meaning the education system, we're eliminating the arts from the school. So I don't know where you may have young inspirations or in what system, but it's unfortunate at this point that the arts, and I mean down to drawing, these tools, means of expression, these reasons that people are who they are, the reasons why the world is in the place that it is, not in that place, but technically, and as far as the advancing of the mind, that's called cracking the code. How can we eliminate this opportunity to allow someone to know that they've cracked the code? So I find it distracting as far as the arts. But your question was how do I feel about dance in school? But again, it made me think I don't know of much dance in schools anymore. I know that you have to go to a maybe performing arts school in order to be offered anything that would, lend in what would be called art. So I have another room and conversation for that topic. Yeah.
We'll start here.
Hi, thank you very much for that wonderful talk. You said at the top that you have become, at this point in your journey, very highly judgmental of some art. Can you talk more about that, what you mean by that?
First of all, it's about, we're about maybe 100 hours from Scorpio season. That's first, which is where I come in. So where the arts come in, the fact that I have this thing walking around with me, and then about arts is like how I feel about wine. It's either red or from this thing or it's not. So I am happy with knowing it's not going to be what I think it's going to be. right? So nowadays I have to tell myself, Savion, it's just a show. You're not going to learn anything. You're just going to come out here and go shopping. Versus in my less judgmental days, I went to see Wayne Shorter and I go home and sit in the dark and think, how can I don't know how to be inspired by that word that is around now. I call it like the Nike shirt. You think you put on the shirt and you can do it because it says just do it. The artists. I was around, I think I can say, according to the record, I will be 45. Or we'll be 46. I'll be 46. I'll be 45 or 46. I don't know. But I was able to experience a time when artists, you didn't hear that word a lot. You didn't hear artists. Oh, I'm an artist. Oh, I'm an artist. I saw that come into a generation, and it just became frivolous. It's like anyone can do it. It's microwavable talent. You can get a receipt for your talent nowadays. You know, it's the thing about mistaking tools for talent. So at this point, I approach my honesty in knowing that I met a man named Jimmy Slide. I met a man named Gregory Hines. I met a man named George Hillman. I met a man named Lon Chaney. I met these men. I've seen, okay, so I have my own Bible. I have my own miracle workers. I was there. I saw it. So I'm not as easily convinced now with a microwave, you know.
I'm going to give it to Hillary, and then I'll come back to Jean. Do you mind passing this, please?
Thank you. I would love to hear a little bit about, as an improviser, how you help people, kids and adults, get out of their heads and be okay and start improvising in that way.
I don't know how to. I don't know how to. I just would, we can use those words, do the thing, but it's, improvisation, you just say it's like confidence. Being able to, in my opinion, improvisation has nothing to do with technique. It has nothing to do with anything we know. Improvisation has to do with what you believe. So, in order for one, in my opinion, in order for one to get to a place of improvisation, you might want to get to a place of supreme honesty with yourself. So that, again, these things, these art forms, these then languages become what they really are. They are. It makes you do something inside. It makes you do something inside. This makes you applaud me. See, you laugh and do that, but this, and the tone right now, that doesn't mean Mickey Mouse came in the room. That means like something else is going on. So when I believe that, I can do that all night. I don't have to do what you call tap dancing. So if someone believes that when they just play one string, bing, if they can believe that they're shooting an arrow across the Mediterranean Sea, that could be the only note they play all night. But in order to be that. You have to believe that. And that's being honest with, in my opinion, honest with what you want to say. Honest with what you want to say and what you can say. Limited to your facility, and then exposing what you don't know. Yeah.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, thanks. Was there a particular moment or experience when you realized you had cracked the code?
It was this morning. Oh, man. I've had the most proud privilege, ladies and gentlemen, to spend time with some of the most, and I use this word in slang, some of the most coolest dudes ever. So I take advantage of the space and the time. So that's why I said this morning. That's an old joke. When did you start tap dancing? Oh, this morning. Okay, so, and I learned how to do those old jokes from those old guys. I think, like I said, so here I am. I start tap dancing at 7 years old. I'm tap dancing. I meet these guys at 10 years old, 10, 11. My life changes. We don't have time right now, but so I begin to learn how to crack the code unconsciously because I was just tap dancing. I was in Tap Dance Kid. I was the Tap Dance Kid. I'm performing. And then I went to Paris where I met these men and I lived for 8 months doing a show called Black and Blue. I was with Jimmy Slide, Bunny Briggs, Lon Chaney, George Hillman, Ivory Wheeler, Diane Walker, Henry Latang, Michael Clory, Buster Brown, Ralph Brown. These are men okay, so I'm with Ruth Brown, Linda Hopkins. I'm 12 years old in Paris. My life has changed. I have a job in a pizzeria as busboy when I'm not performing at night. Never got paid for that. Boom. I am over there hanging out with Jimmy Slide, walking the streets of Paris. I, for some reason, am chosen to be Jimmy Slide's understudy. I get to perform in his role one time because he had to come back to the States. He comes back to Paris. He takes me shopping. He buys me my first leather jacket. In Paris, I'm 12 years old, Jimmy Slide. In one room, so I'm doing this. I'm eating things, I'm drinking things, I'm hanging out, I'm seeing things. I'm 12 years old. My life is changing. I'm on correspondence I'm not even in school. I'm on correspondence. I'm between Queen of Angels and figuring out where I'm going to go next. It was either going to be Calvary Christian School in Newark, New Jersey, or East Harlem Performing Arts. I didn't want to go to professional children's school because I go to school and I see people I look at on TV, like Ricky Stroder, and I'm like, I can't do that. So they shipped me up to Harlem, East Harlem Performing Arts. My life is changing. My life is doing what it's doing. I'm growing up in my home. My mother's playing gospel music. My grandmother has hats this big. She calls a cab. It sits outside. She comes out. It's $75. She's only gone 5 minutes. She calls a guy from church just to walk her down the steps. My grandmother is eclectic. My grandmother has a house on Farley Avenue, but she lives with us on Livingston Street in a 2-bedroom. She has a house. In her house, Her house is occupied by what? Hats. I'm 13 years old. I come back. My life changed. My mother thinks I'm in show business now. She becomes my momager. She's taking me around. I'm doing print ads. I'm doing commercial ads. I'm doing things. So I guess, oh, now I'm in show business. At the same time, I'm living in Newark, New Jersey, where I come out sometimes and play Back to the Village. I play freeze tag. I play hide and go seek. I ride my bike. I do flips off tombstones in the graveyard. I do stuff. I sit in trees. We play, boom. Next thing I know, I meet Gregory Hines. Oh, he says, you're going to be my son in the movie. Oh, okay, boom. Then that happens. Sammy Davis Jr. More people, Arthur Duncan, Pat Rico, Honey Coles, the Copacetics, the Apollo. Everything changes. I'm listening to NWA. Then I'm listening to Chuck D. Then I'm listening to Run DMC. Then I'm listening to Heavy D, Dougie Fresh. My mother's still playing gospel. My grandmother's still who she is. My aunt came over for a chili dinner. It snowed. She hasn't left our house since. Now it's myself, my two older brothers, my mother, my auntie, her son, and grandma. My mother gives her room to grandma. I sleep with my mother and my brother in one room. My middle brother, for somehow, has his own room. There's only 3 rooms. My aunt is downstairs on the pull-out couch with her son. We don't have cable yet. We play Vic 20. We have a dog named Bullet. He bites at the mailman. We have aluminum foil with a thing like that so we can see who's at the door. Limousines start to come in my area. Not for me, for my grandmother, who's best friends with Doris Duke. Look at that. Now we're going to Doris Duke's house on 5th Avenue. I walk in that house, she has a helicopter on her roof. I'm from Newark, New Jersey. My life is changing. I start tap dancing. I'm still tap dancing. I'm still meeting these men. I'm getting all of this ingredients. I turned 21. I've done some shows. I'm still tap dancing. Now I'm about to do my own show. Oh. You mean I can say, oh. Let me see what I've been doing. Let me see what I want to say about this. I learned then around 25, maybe 27, that there is a possibility that maybe I have a voice through this thing. Maybe that what people have been saying is something there. I don't believe it yet. I run off and get married at 32. The room is silent. I have a beautiful child. I name him after my influence, Lon Chaney, the first tap dancer I saw. I surrender everything. I stop partying and everything that comes with it. I must have read the Bible 5 times, cover to cover. I took a trip we went to somewhere in Germany and then to Japan. Between that, because of my diet, I got really sick. We came back, a band member checked out, transitioned, who was there with us. He checked out 2 weeks later. All of a sudden, during my stay in Japan, someone hands me this Dalai Lama documentary. I come back from Japan and I'm like, all I want to do is pray. And all I want to do is be like peaceful. You know. So I do a show called Om. Where it's like, it was just like 1,000 candles on the stage and just me going through different meditatives, if you will, different chants, different ways to say thank you, different ways to say thank you, different ways to say thank you. Now I begin to be 43. Divorce, it was nice. Different tone in the room. My child is 15 now. He's here, he's a man. All I want to do is say thank you. From at this point, we can only do that if we don't say anything. And we do whatever the purpose is, the service. If it's cook and cook. For me, it's about I want you to know that I'm so happy to just be able to know that we all have a brain. At this point in my existence, I'm happy to know that there is an option. Versus being who I am, I received a lot of the same treatment for a long time from people. Being who I am allows me to be some kind of, not therapist, but a doctor of some sort. I've learned personalities. I've learned everybody's basically the same. It's just about agenda. And it's like, we're here, we all have a brain, but we live in this thing where we're about 2 meals away from it being illegal to think. Without an application and a password. So I am so happy today just to know that I have an option. And then to know that I can say thank you and I can serve and I can do what it is you said I'm good at. You see it as tap dancing. I see it as continuing to subscribe to a communication, continuing to allow people to know that we have an option. So when did I learn that? Seriously, every day, today, I learned it. It took a long time. It took 40 years out of my tap dancing career to figure out, oh, I'm not tap dancing. That's why I am what I am versus 20 other tap dancers. There was something odd about that one and his expression. So. Properly, I'll say thank you in closing. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. Sorry for being so long-winded.